Genesis chapter 16, beginning with verse 1. Now Sarai, Abram's wife, had borne him no children. And she had an Egyptian maidservant whose name was Hagar. So Sarai said to Abram, "See now, the Lord has restrained me from bearing children. Please go into my maid. Perhaps I shall obtain children by her." And Abram heeded to the voice of Sarai. Then Sarai, Abram's wife, took Hagar, her maid, the Egyptian, and gave her to her husband, Abram, to be his wife. After Abram had dealt 10 years in the land of Canaan. So he went in to Hagar, and she conceived. And when she saw that she had conceived, her mistress became despised in her eyes. Then Sarai said to Abram, "My wrong be upon you. I gave my maid into your embrace, and when she saw that she had conceived, I became despised in her eyes. The Lord judged between you and me." So Abram said to Sarai, "Indeed, your maid is in your hand. Do to her as you please." And when Sarai dealt harshly with her, she fled from her presence. Now the angel of the Lord found her by a spring of water in the wilderness, by the spring on the way to Shur. And he said, "Hagar, Sarah's maid, where have you come from? And where are you going?" She said, "I am fleeing from the presence of my mistress, Sarai." You may be seated in the presence of our God. Just for a few moments, I'm going to preach from this subject, at the breaking point. At, I can get a benediction right now. At the breaking point.
Come on, sir.
Church, have you ever been pushed to the breaking point? I praise God for your honesty. I'm talking about being pushed to the point where it seems like you're about to pull your hair out. And if not your hair, somebody else's. When you're at the breaking point, it feels like you're out of options. And going off feels like the only reasonable response. Some of us are at the breaking point right now. Not because of one small issue, but because of a situation that feels endless and hopeless. This feeling usually doesn't come from just one short-term problem. No, it comes from a problem or a series of problems that have lasted a long time. It's the weight that's been building. The pressure that won't let up. Let me ask, have you ever been in a situation that just wouldn't end? And you find yourself crying out to God, "How long? God, how long do I have to deal with this? How long do I have to endure this pressure, this pain, this person, this process?" Church, have you ever come to the point in the place in your life where you said, "That's it, I've had enough"? You've prayed, you've waited, you've endured, but now you're tired. You're worn down, and you have hit the breaking point. Who am I talking to this morning? There's a movie starring Jennifer Lopez called Enough. Have you seen that movie? It's an awesome movie. In the movie, she plays a woman named Slim, living what seemed to be a perfect life until she discovers that the man she married is not who she thought he was. What started off as a fairy tale quickly turned into a nightmare, full of abuse, control, manipulation, and fear. At first, she tries to escape. She tries to run. She tries to protect herself and her daughter. But at a certain point, Minister Bush, something shifts. She realizes she cannot run forever. She realizes that surviving is no longer enough. She has to take a stand. So she trains, she prepares, and ultimately she confronts the very thing that tried to destroy her. Slim reached her breaking point. But she didn't break. Instead, she broke through. And church, that's where some of us are right now. You're tired, you're weary, you feel like you're at the end of your rope. But I came by here this morning to tell you, the breaking point is not your ending, it's your awakening. It's the place where God shows up, where your faith is stretched, where survival gives birth to victory. Just like Slim, you don't realize how strong you are until strong is the only option you have. You may be bruised, but you're not broken. Can I get a witness this morning? You may be pressed, but you're not crushed. You may feel like it's over, but listen, that's where God starts. So was the case with Abram. In Genesis chapter 15, we find him discouraged, and the chapter ended with God confirming his promise to Abram concerning his seed and the promised land. You can find that in verses 12 through 21. Yet God delays bringing the promise to pass. And Abram, who is filled with frustration, is at the breaking point. Here's the question. What do you do when you find yourself at the breaking point? Number one, you wait on God. When you're at the breaking point, you wait on God. I only have 2 points, so y'all bear with me. Not going to be long. Let's be honest. That's not always easy. Because, Brother Lynn, God's timing is usually different from ours. We want things fixed, done, and turned around immediately. But God says, hold up, not so fast. That's why having patience is so vitally important. God has a set time for everything, and we must be patient until the time comes. Since I'm here, I might as well talk about the importance of patience. The reason it's so important for us to develop patience is because there are some things we are hoping for right now that we simply are not ready to handle yet. And if we were to receive what we're not prepared for too soon, it could actually be more harm than good. Listen, y'all, sometimes what looks like a delay is really divine protection. During the season of delay, God is working on us. He's shaping us. He's molding us. He's maturing us so that when the blessing comes, we won't fumble it. How many blessings have you fumbled because you weren't ready to receive it? How many relationships have you fumbled because you wasn't ready? How many positions have you fumbled? You got butterfingers. You just... So remember, patience is a virtue and a safeguard for destiny. Let me say this. While you're waiting on God, understand this. The season of delay is a vital part of the process. God often uses delay as a season of preparation and development. It's not punishment. It's purpose. He's building your character because where he is taking you will require more than talent or ambition. It will demand integrity, humility, and strength. And if you don't have character, if you don't have the character to sustain the promise, it won't be long before you lose it. Just trying to help somebody this morning. So here's what you need to hold on to. While you're waiting, God is working. Don't despise the delay. Embrace it. Because anything truly worth having is worth waiting for. I know that because First Lady made me wait 10 months before she allowed me to take her out on our first date. But anything worth having, she still brings me joy. She still loves to cook for me. She still kisses me before she leaves out the house. She still kisses me when I come in the house. Because anything worth having is worth waiting for. Church, we get in trouble when we move ahead of God, rushing to do things and try to make things happen on our own. Can I help somebody this morning? Don't let impatience sabotage the promise God has for your life. Trust his timing because God knows exactly what he's doing. So somebody just say, preach, preacher. Y'all mind if I do a little teaching? Can I take my time and do a little teaching? At the end of Genesis 15, God reminded Abram he would be a father. And his descendants would inherit the promised land. But here's the problem. Abram and his wife Sarah both feel that their biological clocks are running out. Here's what I mean. At this point, Abram is now 86 years old. You can find that in Genesis 16 and 16. And fellas, back then, they didn't have any blue M&Ms. You'll get it on the way home. I'm talking to the short class today, but you'll get it on the way home. And Sarah is 10 years younger. You can find that in Genesis 17:17. Because Sarah feels God has prevented her from having children, she rationalizes the situation and makes a suggestion to her husband, Abram. In today's society, you're not going to find too many sisters that are willing to make this type of suggestion. Ladies, hear me out and tell me if I'm right. Listen to what verse 2 says. So Sarah said to Abram, see now, the Lord has restrained me from bearing children. Please, she's begging him, please go into my maid. Perhaps I shall obtain children by her. Now, she's becoming desperate. And when you're desperate, you do desperate things. People who are desperate for love will lay around with lottie-dottie and everybody. People who are desperate for happiness will try to find it in the bottle, because desperate people do desperate things. And out of desperation, she tries to help God out by manipulating the situation. And verse 2 ends by saying, and Abram heeded to the voice of Sarah. Y'all, this is better than a soap opera. This is better than reality TV. What's that show y'all watch? The Real Housewives of Atlanta. Okay. Okay. I knew somebody was going to help me right through in there. Fellas, I can imagine Abram saying, are you sure you want me to go in there with that young, fine Egyptian woman? I'm sure Abram told Sarai, now, I really don't want to do this. I really don't want to do this, but since you insist, since you are begging me to go in there, since you are forcing me, I guess I'll go ahead and do it. Instead of patiently waiting for God to fulfill the promise in his divine time, Abram agrees with his wife's plan. And watch this, and has an entanglement with her Egyptian maid Hagar. Now, let me say this. It was a common custom in that day for a barren woman, that's a woman who's unable to have children, to give her maid to her husband as a wife. And a child born from the entanglement was regarded as the first wife's child. Hagar was the first recorded surrogate mother. The only difference is she conceived naturally. Listen, Sarah's suggestion was socially acceptable, but obviously not part of God's plan and purpose for Abram. God never promised Abram that his seed would come from Hagar. God told Abram his seed would come from his wife Sarah. Watch this. Just because someone comes to you with a good idea doesn't mean it's a God idea. I don't care how good they make it sound. Let me help somebody. every good thing is not a God thing. I tell you all the time, one of the quickest ways to invite unnecessary stress into your life is to try to go out and accomplish something God never told you to do. You're always going to be frustrated trying to accomplish something God never called, anointed, or assigned you to do. Well, everybody else is doing it, but you're not everybody else. There's nothing more frustrating than being at a place you were never meant to be and doing something God never told you to do. It may look right. It may even feel exciting. But if it's not in His will, it's not for you. I need you to get this. Obedience is better than opportunity. Obedience is better than opportunity. And every opportunity isn't a divine assignment. Some opportunities will open a door that will lead you away from the will of God for your life. Can I tell the truth this morning? I remember it was around, I would say about 4.5 years ago, when I had a member come up to me excited because they were about to be promoted. But then they said, but the only problem is I now have to work on Sundays. But before then, they were at church every Sunday at Bible study. They were on a prayer call. Whenever we went out to do something, as far as outreach, they were with us. But since that 4.5 years, I can count on one hand how many times they've been in church. Because some opportunities will open the door that will lead you away from the will of God for your life. You've got to get to the point where you say to yourself with conviction, if it's not God's will for my life, I don't want it. I don't care how good the pay is. I don't care how fine they are. I don't care how appealing the opportunity looks. If it's not God's will for my life, I don't want it. Listen to what Psalm 27 and verse 14 says. Wait on the Lord. Be of good courage, and He shall strengthen your heart. Wait, I say, on the Lord. The Bible also says that the steps of a righteous person are ordered by the Lord. If God is not telling you to make the move, you better stand still, be patient, and allow God to direct you. Rushing ahead may lead to regret, but waiting on God leads to purpose. Number 2, when you find yourself at the breaking point, be completely honest with God. Be completely honest with God. First, you have to wait on Him. Secondly, you need to be honest with God. Y'all got 10, 15 more minutes? As with all decisions made without God, Sarah and Abram's plan quickly turned sour. Things always take a turn for the worse when we try to take matters into our own hands. We have to stop getting so anxious and stop trying to move ahead of God. And we have to trust and believe that God knows exactly what He's doing. When we do something without God, without the approval or wisdom of God, we will either fail miserably or succeed miserably. Pastor working, boy, I am preaching. I did my homework this week. Let me show you what I mean. There are people who have climbed the ladder of success. I mean, they have great paying jobs, but they hate the job they go to. That's what I mean when I say succeed miserably. Sarah's plan succeeded miserably. Her scheme works. Hagar becomes pregnant. And now Hagar's position has changed because no longer is she just Sarah's maid. She is now the mother of Abram's child. And because of that, Sarah is now filled with jealousy and envy. Sisters, y'all feel her? Y'all know what she's going through. Look at what verse 5 says. My wrong be upon you. I gave my maid into your embrace. And when she saw that she had conceived, I became despised in her eyes. Now, we don't see nowhere in the Bible where Hagar said that. This is just her assumption. Then she goes on to say, the Lord judged between you and me. Now check this out, y'all. Sarah blames Abram for the problem she caused. How you going? Isn't she the one who brought the idea to Abram? But now she's blaming him. She says, my wrong be upon you. I know it was my plan. But now that she's pregnant, it's all your fault. Help me preach. What'd you say, Miss Garrett? She should have waited on the Lord. That's what happens. You find yourself in frustration. You'll find yourself downtown. I'm not talking about Roof Chris. I'm talking about at the county jail. You know, we love to play the blame game. So many of us, whether we realize it or not, subconsciously blame others for the things we have done wrong. Can I say that again? Many of us, whether we realize it or not, subconsciously blame others for the things we have done wrong. We blame others for our bad decisions. Why? Because it's much easier to point the finger than it is to take responsibility. Y'all still walking with me? Everybody wants to point the finger, but nobody wants to take responsibility. If you had not done this, if you had not said that, if you would have brought me up in this school, if you would have brought me up in that neighborhood, if you would have bought me a car when I was 16, when it comes to facing our own dysfunctions, we love to play the blame game. We love to blame everything and everybody when the problem is usually us. Did you know every time you point the finger at somebody, you have 3 more pointed back at you? Instead of pointing the finger, take a look in the mirror. It's your fault. You made the decision. You made that choice. Now, let me teach this with balance. If you really think about it, Abram was wrong, and he finds himself in this mess because he listened to his wife. Instead of following the directions of God. This is a prime example of what happens when we allow the voice of people to speak louder than the voice of God. Now hear me. I'm not suggesting, now please listen, hear me out. I'm not suggesting that you shouldn't listen to your spouse, your loved ones, or a trusted friend, by no means. So don't run out of here talking about you walk in the house telling your spouse, now pastor told me I don't have to listen to you. Now, I got witnesses. I got witnesses. Pastor did not say that. What I am saying is their word should never be contrary to the word of God. Sarah is at the breaking point. Abram is at the breaking point. And out of frustration, listen to what he says in verse 6. Abram tells Sarai, your maid is in your hand. Do to her as you please. In other words, she's your maid. Do whatever you feel you need to do. Just leave me alone. So Sarah begins to mistreat Hagar, and Hagar runs away. How many of you know this is a tongue twister sermon, boy? Lord, thank you for your help. Sarah and Abram's plan begins to fall apart. Here's the takeaway from all of this. Only what you do for Christ will last. Psalm 127:1 says this, unless the Lord builds the house, they labor in vain who build it. Like their plan, if our plans are not God-centered, they will be problem-centered. Hagar is a victim of Sarah's dysfunction. She didn't ask for any of this. She was just doing what she was told to do. Listen, there's so much tension in the house that Hagar is forced to leave. She was like, bump this. I don't have to put up with this mess. I don't have to take this. I'm out of here. Hagar is alone, poor, mistreated, depressed, and pregnant. And she doesn't want to be bothered. She just wants to be left alone. And that's where somebody is today. You don't want to be bothered. You just want to be left alone. You don't want any company. You just want to be left alone. Hagar leaves because she's fed up and at the breaking point. But then look at verse 8. An angel appears to her Anybody glad that God knows exactly when to show up? You were on your way to do something you would have regretted for the rest of your life, but God showed up. God knows when to say enough is enough. The angel shows up and asks, hey, God, where have you come from and where are you going? And preachers, based on verse 13, with good reason, some scholars believe the angel of the Lord is God himself. The angel wants to give Hagar the opportunity to tell her side of the story. Not because he doesn't already know it, but because she needs to express her hurt and frustration. We need to understand that nothing we do catches God by surprise. The angel of the Lord wanted Hagar to open up and be honest. I can imagine with Hagar, while she was talking to that angel, I can imagine tears were streaming down her eyes. Because she has been hurt and verbally abused. And it wasn't anything that she did wrong. How many of you know that verbal abuse can be just as damaging, or if not worse, as physical abuse? We were all told that lie growing up. Sticks and stones may break my bones. The words were never heard. That was a lie straight from hell. Bones heal in a matter of months. But there are some adults right now still traumatized over words that were spoken over them as children. You're stupid. You're ugly. I wish I never had you. You're going to be just as sorry as your daddy. Words hurt. She has been hurt and verbally abused. She doesn't know which turn or direction her life is going to take. And I can imagine her crying out to God, asking, what did I do, God, to deserve this? What did I do, God, to deserve this pain? I was only doing what I was told to do. When you're going through, you have to be honest and cry out to God. We have to open up and express our hurts and pains to God. I love the way David puts it in Psalm 142, verse 1. And I'm done. I cried out to the Lord. With my voice to the Lord, I make my supplication. See, you need to understand that David knew how to get a prayer through. He really knew how to get God's attention. David communed with God on a regular basis. Even God said he's a man after my own heart. Even when he messed up, he still talked to God. See, the problem with most of us, we mess up, we run away from God. But that's the time you need to run to God. He said, I cried out to the Lord. See, sometimes life can get so rough and so overwhelming that the only thing left for you to do is cry out. When the weight is too heavy, when the pressure is too much, when you're tired, and when you've tried everything you know to do and nothing seems to work, there comes a point when your only response is a desperate cry. A desperate cry from the depths of your soul. And here's the good news. God hears that cry. I'm trying to help somebody. Let me ask you all a question. When was the last time you were honest enough to cry out to God? I'm not talking about that now I lay me down to sleep. Patty cake type of prayers. I'm talking about when was the last time you really cried out to God? When was the last time you cried out about your family? When was the last time you cried out about the things that are going on in your life? Sometimes you have to be downright honest and cry out to God. God, I don't know how I'm going to make it. God, I don't know how I'm going to pay these bills. God, why didn't I get the position? God, why is my child in jail? Why is my child strung out on drugs? God, why do people keep lying on me? God, how come I don't feel love? God, what did I do to deserve a divorce? God, why did you allow cancer to take away my loved one? When you're at the breaking point, you have to cry out to God. And once you cry out, you have to release it and let it go. Here's what I mean in verse 2. David says, I poured out my complaint unto him. Our problem is we pour out our complaint unto people. We run to the phone before we run to God's throne. David gave God everything he was carrying. Watch this. Those burdens you've been carrying, you need to let them go and give them to God. Is there anybody in the house or watching other than me that has some complaints that need to be poured out to God? Wherever you are, I dare you to open up your mouth right now and start crying out to God. Pour out that complaint. Pour out the stress you've been feeling. Pour out that negative doctor's report. Pour out everything your child has been putting you through. Sometimes we have to empty ourselves of ourselves so we can pour out what we are carrying so God can fill us up with himself. And the only way that can happen, we have to go before God and pour it out. That's what you do when you're at the breaking point. Praise God for that word.